Now, I said actor goals, tangible clarity. That's a play on words because part of what I talk about are tangible goals versus non-tangible goals, which is a huge issue in a really subjective profession like performance acting for money. Not influencing, okay, but performance acting for money. Not as much with singers and musicians, much more for actors. 1 minute, 1 minute call, and I shall commence running my mouth about tangible goals, actor goals. Tangible clarity. Whee! And happy Friday, everybody. Woo! Hope you have a big weekend planned. My birthday is tomorrow. Hello! Another year older, and as I just call it, I'm old. So we'll just go with that. No mild, medium plans, but it's another day in the neighborhood, Saturday the 5th. So thank you very much, Dawn. That's very sweet of you to put that message up. And there's Antivora. Hey, Miss Antivora, good to see you. Oh, my man Woods has rolled in the house. Thanks, CC. Appreciate it. The Woods in the house. Okay, so here we go. Officially on actor goals, starting now. So this is not obviously an uncommon subject, everyone. We all know that we have to have goals. Thank you very much. One of the things about actor goals that get very, very dicey, very, very quick is simply this. Most of our goals, and again, you guys have to remember, I sat with over 5,000 people, 5,000 actors from all over the world for nearly 24 years as the founder and president of the Actors Network. Many of those people, several have become stars, and dozens work all the time like me, okay? And so, thanks, Dawn. And so understand that most actor goals that I've seen people talk about or write down are simply what I would call tasks. But there's nothing wrong with that. Cleaning out the garage can be a goal. It's also a task. Absolutely. However, here's the thing. Most goals that I've seen actors actually put down first tend to be goals that are predicated on a result. But, big distinction, y'all, here it comes. It's really important for performers. But those results, unfortunately, are mostly controlled by someone else. And that's the danger. When too many of your goals are predicated on the actions or decisions of a third party. Now, that's just a setup to this conversation. Let me back up and let's focus on the task part of goals. So if you write down a whole bunch of tasks that you're going to do as an actor, that you think these are goals, I got to get this shit done. Getting a to-do list done isn't the same as goals. However, the result of your actions, just like cleaning out the garage, you're going to wake up one day and be like, look, the garage is all organized and cleared out, whatever the project is, right? So identify whether or not what you think a goal is whether or not it's simply a to-do task. And the sum of tasks basically equals your game plan. That's what a set of actor tasks are. They become kind of your game plan. And one of the most important things about doing those is you have to have time. This is why I've already discussed and will always discuss a degree of time management with actors, because you're not getting paid for getting these things done. No one's giving you money to get all these tasks done on a weekly basis. And so sometimes, because that's the case, it falls by the wayside. But I encourage you to always recognize that a lot of what you call goals may be tasks, and the collection of tasks is really a game plan. But just like losing weight, you hope that the result of that game plan is one of those goals that's a little more intangible, a little more subjective, okay? So let's look at tasks like this. You would have regular tasks just like you do in your life. I don't care if it's making your bed, driving to work, going to work, I don't care. Same thing. And then you have what I've always called elective tasks. Yes, I took that from universities where we have courses we have to take, and then we have elective courses that we choose to take. And sometimes our actor goals are some of those elective things, such as, and I've mentioned this the past couple of lives, getting new pictures or re-editing your demo reel. Those are common goals that are really tasks, but they're electives because they're not weekly. You might get pictures done once every 2 years. You might recut your reel a couple, maybe 3 times in 1 year if you're working a lot and have new footage, but they're not part of a weekly routine game plan. I say all this because one of the biggest things that I have been since all the way back in 1991, you guys, is someone who's about parsing how you view things we need to do. And as actors, we don't want to have to do any of them. We really honestly just would prefer to go to class and go to auditions, get hired, and play in the sandbox. Yes, me too. That's not like a new concept of like, oh, I really just don't want to do any of that bullshit. Y'all, I don't either. But when you have to address it, it's really important to make sure that you parse out how you're doing your actor goals. So, and the other key is you got to make sure you review it every 90 days. There's a reason for that, because sometimes when you accomplish things, your game plan or some of your tasks may change. Some of your result-oriented goals may change. And most notably, y'all, your lifestyle may change. You may have been not in acting class 3 months ago, and now you are. Well, that's a set of time you no longer have. You may have not been working a particular job 90 days ago, and now you are, and that addresses your time. You may have been single 90 days, and now you're not. Holy shit, that addresses your time. You may be dealing with some personal, who knows? But just make it a habit that one of your tasks, one of your routines is to always address your actor goals quarterly, 4 times a year. I beg you to do that. And again, I cover time management a lot, but you do have to have time to actually do this on a regular basis, your goals, or you're just whistling Dixie. You're just doing stuff randomly, and you'll pick a weekend when you feel energetic and you'll do some shit, but it won't have any real effectiveness. Now, what I'm going to focus on for most of this live is the part that's really dicey for us. It's the part that's really frustrating for us, which is when you identify something as a task, the question is, always ask yourself this question: how much percentage do I have complete control, that would be 100%, over getting this done or reaching that goal? That's why we have the word, my man Jose's in the house, people. That's why we have a word in language called procrastination. We wouldn't have procrastination as a word, as a reality of life, if when we had 100% control of something, we always did it. And the truth of the matter is, we have that in life. That whole garage analogy that I'm using about being a project, I mean, shit, how many of us have had a project like cleaning out the garage that we've put off for months and years? Yeah, that's procrastination. But you still have 100% control of getting that done. So one of the first things you want to do about your actor goals is make sure you define whether it's a goal that's a result of a bunch of tasks or a goal that is controlled by a third party or someone else's decision. Very important. And then make sure you look at your tasks first that you're calling goals, and go and identify all the ones that you have 100% control of. That's a whole list, right? Just like getting a demo reel editing done, or just like new pictures. You control getting that done. No one's going to stop you but you, because preparing to edit your reel, preparing to get new pictures done, since Peggy's here, who's a headshot photographer and terrific, getting that done just means you have to do the prep work, book it, pay for it. Done. Nothing's holding you back. So you have to identify which goals you have that are really tasks and a set of tasks that lead to an eventual goal, just like dieting. I mean, you can still have a goal. I'm in the process. I just lost 20 pounds and I'm losing 20 more. Now that's a goal, right? But I'm the person responsible for making that happen. It just takes time. Then identify the other goals. And this is the one I'm going to spend the next 15 minutes talking about, because this is the part where it gets dangerous for us. When we have goals that are in someone else's control. And I'm going to give you absolutely the two most common, and yet the third. There are three main ones actors tend to state. One is, I need to get a new agent or manager. That's one of the main goals actors have, right? Either new or first, doesn't make any difference. I have a theatrical, I need a new commercial, doesn't make any difference, just a new representative. And then another goal we commonly have is I need to book and then fill in the blank. If you're more oriented towards commercials, then by, hey, Danny, welcome in, man. If you're more oriented by commercials, then it may be, I want to book 3 nationals this year. Or if you're like me and you do more television, it's like, well, I want to do 5 guest stars in 2022, for example. Those are goals that are nice, but they are completely in someone else's control. And the third one that I overlay on both of them is that we commonly sometimes make a goal of making a certain amount of money as an actor in a calendar year. And these are all extraordinarily, I use the word dangerous. I don't literally mean dangerous. But the reason I choose dangerous is because of this. I founded the Actors Network, you guys, in 1991 for one very simple reason. I saw a lot of unnecessary pain, strife, and depression amongst my fellow peers and colleagues. It is that simple. And when I use the word dangerous about these goals, I do it for this very reason. What happens to our mind? What happens to our heart and soul when we don't accomplish something that we've left in someone else's hands because it's in someone else's hands? If you're an influencer, you just get up and turn the camera on and do some shit, right? One of the ways actors have tried to battle this lack of control that we have as performers is to go out and make their own project, own short film. But what we forget to realize is when you do that, you actually have become a filmmaker, and being an actor in that is actually a small part of it. So this is why this part of goals and actor goals is so dangerous. Hey, Mish, good to see you, man. So this is important. Let me address each one of them, okay? I want to get a new representative. Okay, cool. That's a fine goal to have. But my question is, how do you get one? What is the process to getting a new representative? Because usually it doesn't have anything to do with winning the lottery, and usually it doesn't have anything to do with being cool at a party. What it means is you have to have a meeting first. Most every representative I've ever known will at least have a meeting before they represent you. Even during a pandemic, it just was on Zoom. So my point to you being is you could change the language of your desired goal as an actor to, I'm going to do these set of tasks to enhance the likelihood, that's why it's 3 of my favorite words in Kevin's hashtag, enhance the likelihood, of getting multiple meetings with representatives in the hopes of one of those people choosing to represent me. Hey, Alana, good to see you, love. So when it comes to getting a new representative or a first representative, I would encourage you to understand I have no problem with the goal at all. I have a challenge with the goal in that we don't control almost all of that actual outcome, That's the thing, outcome. We don't control the result of that. And think about this. This is my point in the next 15 minutes, y'all. Imagine, just imagine, in any city you live in, it doesn't matter. Melbourne, Sydney, London, Paris, Tokyo, Seoul, or Minneapolis, Dallas, Miami, San Francisco, Nashville, Atlanta, New York, Chicago, or Hollywood. Makes no difference. Imagine, in that marketplace, if you pulled off getting 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 meetings, but for a whole litany of reasons, plethora of reasons, nobody chose to represent you at that time in that moment. That's a conversation for another live, another day. You would have just sat and met with, in person, 3, 4, 5 key professionals in your marketplace, but your mind, because none of them said yes, your mind would view that as a complete failure. And that's why I call it dangerous. And I've watched it, you guys, for over 3 decades, on some levels, depress and even destroy perfectly wonderful, talented actors. You cannot let this happen to you. So the goal of getting a new representative is a completely fine goal, as long as you also understand there are tasks, just standard tasks, to try and create those meetings. There are going to those meetings, and you have already won. You've already accomplished a major goal by even getting a meeting. It's just like dating. It's just like hoping that, 2 good dates turns into a lifelong marriage, or marriage turns into a lifetime of happiness. No one can guarantee nor promise that, because we're dealing with human beings. So I don't want the goal, which is perfectly fine, to destroy or dismiss, wipe away, baby out with the bathwater, the brilliance of if you manage to get 3 or 4 meetings. And at that point, as I do with my dating analogies all the time, everybody you met with just happened to be taken at the moment. It's like meeting somebody you're really attracted to, but they're not single. Or you meet somebody who is single that you think to yourself, wow, if I was single, I would have gone out with him, but you're not single. So a lot of times, guys, representatives just don't choose to take you on for a whole bunch of reasons. So that's my number 1 thing about a goal for representatives. Number 2 thing, I want to book, fill in the blank. Okay, now I'm going to mix number 2 in with number 3, because a lot of times what people do is they say, I want to book blah, and or I want to make a certain amount of money as an actor, neither of which you control. Whether you get an audition yourself, no matter what it's for, all the way from any non-union project to the greatest studio feature film that you're in, some Marvel film, it doesn't make any difference. Booking is booking is booking is booking. It is being hired as an actor. And when you say, I want to book blah, once again, same concept. I went through a very frustrating 2021 in which and again, I auditioned for very few things, because I only audition at this point in my career for certain types of projects. And that's a choice by me. I don't have to make that choice, but I do for myself professionally. But I had some killer auditions for some awesome projects. Didn't book any of them at all. It happens. Happens all the time. That's life. And then sometimes you'll all of a sudden go through and you book 4 in a row. You can't explain that either. Why? Because you don't control the outcome, man. Because this is human resources. Casting is just HR. And sometimes, as I make a joke all the time, they audition me and like me, but they decide to go Asian female. And that's a true story. It's a story I tell all the time, because I still laugh about it to this day, and it happened 3 decades ago. But sometimes they just decide not to hire you. That's how that works. So when you make a goal of, I'm going to book blah, this once again gets dangerous, because what if you had, in a calendar year or any form of a fiscal year, what if you had 10, 15, 20 commercial, modified, low budget, feature films, what if you had 15, 20 awesome auditions? And now 10, 12, 14 casting people know you in a way they didn't previously know you. That's part of the corporate step ladder of building a career, is having professionals on the other side of the desk actually know who you are and like you as a performer. Y'all, hello. If you did that, but the only thing at the end of the year, when you get to the end of the year and it's December 31st, and you look back on your year and your goal was to book blah, and you didn't necessarily book blah, hey, Miss Patton, good to see you. Then once again, what does your mind denigrate your soul with? This is my concern, and that's why I call it dangerous. So I'm encouraging you, as my acting coach, God bless him and rest his soul, David LeGrant, would always say, concern yourself with the effort, and the result will take care of itself. This is a statement as an athlete. It's also a statement as an actor. Guys, concern yourself with the effort, be it through your representative. And now, this is where I was at. This is important. Okay, I'm going to pick right back up with where I was, okay, because I know where I was at when this shit happened. All right, here we go. So this is the crucial part. Sometimes what we do is we say we do our goals based on money. And it gets really dicey for me. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate that. But again, Paul, if you knew Colin, great guy. So here's the deal. This is also dicey, and let me explain why. Because we function in a profession where we are not necessarily guaranteed to know exactly what we're going to make. Hold tight with me. I realize that when we do a day player job on theatrical jobs, we do know how much money we'll make. But what we don't know is, you guys, we don't know how many times we're going to book a job. So if you say to yourself, hey, my goal this year is to qualify for insurance if you're a union person in the United States. Totally hear you, loud and clear, perfectly understandable goal to have. $27,000. That's what it is. And so, okay, but here's the thing. Do you realize that in today's world, imagine this, you could actually book 7 national commercials. Just think about that for a second. The idea of booking 7 commercials, which 40 years ago, long before I was an actor, people would book 7 nationals and buy 2 houses off that money. You could literally book 7 nationals today and not even make 20 grand. Not because something's necessarily changed that much. It's that you have 2 real problems. You can't guarantee a spot's going to run or how much it's going to run. And you also can't even guarantee that they're going to run it at all, and all you get is the session fee. Same thing in theatrical. Way back in the day, and this is when this started to turn, was about 14, 15 years ago. I knew a gal who worked all the time. I seemed to audition commercially with her constantly, and she would book them, and I didn't. A beautiful Italian lady. And she booked 17 nationals one year, and she made 70 grand. So be careful when your goals are associated with money, because not only can we not control getting hired, we certainly can't necessarily control how much it's going to air, how much residuals we're going to get. Be careful about doing that. That becomes dicey. Certainly, I would still encourage everyone, and this is my final salvo in the conversation of actor goals, tangible clarity. This is the number one goal I have been saying to actors for 3 decades and a year, is this. It does not matter what city you're in. It does not matter what aspect of the profession you're focused on. It does not matter. This is your number one goal at all times, forever and ever. Amen. That's me referencing my Southern roots and Randy Travis. This is it. Meet people. I don't care if you're meeting them walking your dog, at the dog park, wherever that is. I don't care if you fall into conversation with them through friends or at events. I don't care if you go to events and speak to them afterwards. I don't care if it's because of auditions. I do not care. What I am telling you is the individual in-person version of you for 90 seconds will always be more special than 50 to 100 electronic submissions. And one of the ways that you, here's the hashtag again, increase the likelihood of building a career is the more people who have engaged with you, encountered you, and like you. They may be willing to watch your demo reel. They may be willing to call you in. They may be willing to have a meeting with you for representation. All things come from humans knowing you. Okay? That, for everyone, to me, should be your number one goal, and the tasks associated with, and the game plan and the routine associated with creating that as your number one goal. Because a lot of the stuff that goes above that are things we simply can't control. And I promise you, it will help keep this and this more healthy and more balanced, so that you always have some enthusiasm, some passion, and some energy to pursue this crazy ass career. I wish, guys, that I could say that the sound thing was my fault. I think, unfortunately, because even though I turned the notification off, I got a phone call in the middle of this, and I think that affected the sound. And yes, Alana, as you know, that's a Kevinism from way back in the day. See, Alana wrote that shit down like 15 years ago. It's not who you know. It's who knows you. That is correct. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I will see you on Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye.